My name is Marina Moreno again. I'm actually Medina now because I got married in January. I was born here in Laredo in 1974, so you all do the math. I'm a mother of 5 kids. I have 2 boys, 2 girls, and my son in heaven. This was my son. He was probably a few months old. He was born in 1993. My son passed from a drug overdose, and this is his story. He was a normal kid. He went to school. He loved video games. He loved social media. He liked to play sports, basketball, you name it. He played football in middle school and also in high school. I believe he started smoking weed and taking pills when he was in high school. That's my son. That's in Lamar and in Nixon. But something happened to me before all of this. I got arrested in 2006 for a drug conspiracy case. My ex-husband was dealing drugs and I got dragged into it. So I went to prison they gave me 5 years, I did 3 years. When I was there, I left my kids with my mom. And when you're in prison, you get parenting classes and they ask you, they tell you, right, like if you leave your kids after 7 days of not talking to them, that's considered abandonment. So I would, every week on Tuesdays, I would write to my children and send them a letter, each and every one of them, so I can keep that contact with them. And my parents would bring them over to visit also, and I would see them. While I was in there, I did do cosmetology. They offer a cosmetology course. I got a license. I'm a licensed cosmetologist. I also did a paralegal certificate, and I was also a teacher right there for the ladies that don't have their education. I helped them complete their education. I was in federal prison, in a federal prison camp in Bryan, Texas. When I was there, like I said, I would write to them and stuff. And when I got out, I did get a good job in an oil field company. So I was working, and by that time, my son, he was still doing drugs, and we would talk to him and say, you know, like, what's going on? Why are you doing this? And he would always tell me that he would have problems, that life was hard, and I would ask him, well, why do you think it's hard? I mean, if you have everything, right? But I guess the social pressure and everything, he started trying pills, hydrocodone, Xanax. I didn't have, like, I kind of knew that he was doing stuff, but I definitely didn't know what it was. We did take him to a counselor, and he started seeing a counselor because of those problems that he had, and he would say that that you know, like, that there's a lot of social pressure now, because, like, for me going to the schools and talking to the students, now I see, like, all of what he would mean, you know, when he was, you all say. He did graduate, thankfully he did graduate from Nixon. I got to pick up his diploma. He had already graduated. But on August 5th of 2013, my son has his first overdose. He was at a house with some friends of his, and they just went to drop him off at the hospital. They left him there. His lungs had collapsed, and he was referred to a rehab. We got him some mental health, like I said. I took him to a psychiatrist, and he did get some medication for depression, but he used more than he was supposed to. So he was, like, taking, instead of the doses that he was supposed to, he was taking way more. I told my boss who was going out with him, and my boss was really lenient there, so he told me to take him with me to work, which I did. I took him to work with me, and when I was working there, I was an office manager, So in his addiction, I had access to checks and a stamp with my boss's signature. So in his addiction, he found a way to get money. So guess what? He stole the checks and he stole the stamps, and he was cashing checks and buying all this stuff. And I did know that he was buying all this stuff, but I thought like it was from his paycheck because he would make really good money. But he went and he bought, and all the checks that he wrote, he spent $27,885, which I had to pay back. Thankfully, like I said, thankfully I spoke to my boss, and it was two of them, and I spoke to them and I told them what had happened. So they told me that I could stay there, just pay him back, and I did. But my son, he bought, that store at the mall, TDK? Well, my son bought like a lot of stuff from there. He bought some pair of pants that were worth $185, and who wears leather pants in Laredo, right? Like it's freaking hot. Well, I got them, and I tried to get as much of the stuff that he had spent on, to try and see if I could sell it and get money back so I can pay my boss. But here's like some of the checks. There's some other people that he was writing them out to, some friend of his. But I didn't want to put those there. But yeah, that's you see the stamp, and then you'll see like over there he tried to do his own signature, and I don't know. I still don't know how they catch them, right? But like with addiction, that's just what you do. Like you steal, you take, and stuff. On the very last one, my son's birthday was on March 29, and my son cashed that check on March the 4th, I believe I saw in the statement. But I don't know, I guess he just made it out on that day, and they cashed it at the bank. So I still don't see how the bank went on to cash all this, because this was like all, the checks were all computer generated, and I guess, I don't know. In July of 14, I did find him a rehab. I found him a rehab in Michigan. My son had never been on an airplane, so his first trip was on an airplane was to go to his rehab. We had plans. We wanted to go out of town. We wanted to go to New York. We wanted to go to Disney on a plane, and we never got to do that with him. His first plane trip was to the rehab. He did stay there for about 8 months, and I did go and visit him, but he ended up coming back. But there's him, you can see, like he was super skinny, and then when he was in rehab, he had already gained like all his weight. But he was in his addiction. You can see where he drops, he gains, he drops, and he gains. I have some other pictures there. The next slide it's hard. It's hard for some to watch, but you all are going to be out on the field doing this, and you're going to see my son in this. This was our reality, and this is what we were faced with, and I would like to share it with you. After being in the rehab, he had already been off of drugs for 8 months. So in January, when he comes back, he was doing fine for the first few weeks, and then on February 15 of 2015, my son had his second overdose. So, and it was right after getting from rehab, so sometimes they say, like, when you stop doing drugs and then you come back and you do drugs again, or your body's not used to it. So he took more than he should have, or I guess is normal, and it caused him to have his second overdose. They told me that, they gave him two, I got like all the bills and everything from the insurance in the hospital. They gave him 2 doses of Narcan to bring him back. But yeah, like that was him on his second one, and again, remember the date, February 15, 2015. He did get out of that and he wanted to go work. He wanted to go to college, and I did get him a course at LC for HVAC, which he did some of it, but he didn't complete it because of his addiction, where he was on and off drugs. I would drug test him to make sure that he wasn't doing drugs. Sometimes he passed, sometimes he didn't. It was really hard for me and my family. He did find a job and he started working at Sames, where he was washing cars. There at Sames, he had an accident. He had a couple of accidents, but the first one they let it slide. So one day they call me and they're like, ma'am, can we speak to Miguel Lozoya? And I'm like, no, he's not here, he's at work. And then they tell me, can he bring his uniforms? And I was like, well, what do you want your uniforms, right? Are they gonna wash them? Because they used to take them and get them washed and then get them back to him. Well, no, they told me, no ma'am, he doesn't work here anymore. And I'm like, what? Like, he would get up every day in the morning and he would do like his normal routine. He would go, leave, come back and stuff. So I waited for him that day when he got home, and I asked him, I'm like, hey son, well, how was your day? He was like, no mom, my day was good. And I'm like, oh really? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, what did you do? He's like, ay mom, pues I wash cars. Like, what do you mean, what did I do? I wash cars. And I'm like, come on son, like, yeah, stop, like, stop the lying. Like, what happened? He's like, no mom, I went for I went and I crashed a car. I went for a drug test and I got fired because he didn't pass. That's my son after his second overdose. You can see where he would gain the weight and then lose it and gain it back and lose it. After that, that year in November, it was really hard for me, but I had to do something. I had other children. I was pregnant at the time, and I didn't know what to do anymore. He started stealing from me. There was jewelry missing. There was like a lot of stuff missing from the house. He would, while he was in his addiction, he would fall asleep on the porch, and I would ask him, why do you take a drug that's gonna make you just sleep, like he would be sitting on our porch. We used to have a porch, and he would sit there, and all his shorts from here, they were like burned because he was smoking, and he would fall asleep and the cigarettes would burn his shorts. I did ran him off the house. I sent him to his dad. He did the same thing over there. He started stealing. They didn't want him there. He went to his aunt's house. They didn't want him there. At the end, he was living with a girlfriend. The girlfriend was living with her aunt. The aunt didn't want him there also because he was taking stuff. He ended up living off her car, like he would sleep in her car. And on February 15 of 2016, we were out eating, and he had called me the day before in Valentine's. He had called me on February 14 of 2016, and he told me that he wanted to turn his life around, that he wanted to work, that he wanted to go to he said that there was a job at Dr. X, and he wanted for me to help him fill out an application. I told him, yes, son, of course. I told him to go the day after, so I can help him, or he asked if he could go the day after so I can help him. And because he was gonna go to the carnival, I believe, with his girlfriend. So I said yes, but I never got to see my son again. The next day, like I said, February 15, 1 year exactly after his second overdose, that's when he died. They did find him at a house by 359. There's a Betty Bubbles in a car lot. Behind a car lot, there's a house, and there's a little apartment that I guess some guys were renting. My son, when I talked to those people, they told me that my son had gone the night before, that they had gone to the store, they had walked to the store, they had bought some ice cream, that they had brought it back, and then he ate it, and as soon as he ate, he was just like, you know what, I'm tired, I want to go to sleep. And they let him go to sleep, and he never woke up. He did die. They told me that at, I think the autopsy says 10 or 11, I don't remember. But they called the police until 12. I guess they were figuring out what to do. I did get his autopsy. His autopsy had a cocktail of drugs. You all know what a cocktail is, right? Well, he had a cocktail of drugs in his body. So his cause of death was accidental overdose. He mixed several drugs. I know it was heroin, cocaine. He had weed, benzos, or I don't know how you say it, I think. But yeah, he had all of that. So remember the leather pants? He used them for his funeral. So I got him like a nice sweater with some leather here and matched the pants, and that's what my son wore for his funeral. I did have him cremated after that. When I started doing all of this, I opened up, I didn't know what to do after he had died, and I didn't want anybody else to go through this, so I was trying to see what I can do. So I started an organization. It's called Myke's Purpose. And before, when I started, since I still had him in an urn, I would take him. And my son used to weigh 10 pounds on an urn. So this is what he would weigh. I'm gonna pass it around, but just like, you know, that's how much an urn weighs. And I used to take it to schools, and the kids would they would freak out, you know, like wow, and I would tell them, you know what, I don't want your parents to be carrying you around in a 10-pound weight, you know, so like if you all can change your life around, do, that's what I tell him. He is now at the cemetery. When my son was in his addiction, he got a tattoo. I don't know if you saw it on the picture right here. It's so ironic that what he tattooed, it was like on a song from, I don't know if it was Lil Wayne or somebody. It says, dying is a gamble, living is your best bet. But if you look up that song, it's supposed to be like the other way around. It's supposed to be, living is a gamble, dying is your best bet. So to me, it's like really ironic that my son chose that and he put it on wrong. I don't know why. When we were trying to debate on how to put it on the stone, I wanted to put it the correct way, but then my daughter was like, no mom, just put it how he had it, that's how he had it. So that's how we kept it. And what would I say if he was here? That's one of the questions that I get asked when I get interviewed. I would say, I love you, I miss you, I wish I could talk to you, I wish you were here, I wish I could hug you, and I wish you could see everything I'm doing because of you, because of what happened. I tell the kids, if you all have your mom and dad, go talk to them, you know, like tell them you love them. And if you want, like if anybody needs help, find it. You know, there is help here. Like I said, I did start this nonprofit, and this is what I do. This is the first time I come to a college, but thank you, Mr. Salas, for inviting me. I usually go to the middle schools and the high schools. And because of this, when I started with my son and him. The mom knew what had happened to my son and what I wanted to start. So I went to Facebook and I asked people if they wanted to share, you know, about their loved ones. But there's a lot of stigma here. There's a lot of stigma and people don't want to talk about what's going on. But right now it's like really, really bad. I'm also a member of the Drug and Alcohol Commission, and we're gonna have a meeting on Wednesday, and they send us a news release that it's from the Laredo Police Department, that it's really bad out there. Like right now, there's I think they said 31 deaths this year here in Laredo due to overdose, and last year it was 17. So it's doubled. I mean, we still have all November and December to go. So like I said, going back to just my son and him, the mom, she wanted for me to share his picture. And as the years have gone by, I've had other parents that send me pictures, and I'm gonna share with you. That's Myke. He was from Laredo. He played Xbox. He liked flaming hots with limon, Hershey's, cookies and cream. He died also from an overdose. I don't know exactly what he took, but I just know that he died from an overdose. This is Dustin Howell. He was from here, from Laredo. He liked music. He liked to cook. He was a trainer at Rock Fitness. And he died the day of his wedding. He was the son to the pastors at Church of the Crossroads here in Laredo. And he was gonna get married that day, and they found him in his room. I think he had a needle. He died from an overdose. This is Manny Carvajal. He's from San Antonio. He died in 2015. He was 19. He started with Xanax. When he died, they said that the mom told me that he had 60 Vicodin pills and 14 morphine pills in his body. He liked working out, lifting weights, basketball, football, and boxing. The mom in San Antonio, she tried to start something like I did. She said that she didn't get a lot of community help over there, so she just stopped. But she asked if I could just keep sharing her son's picture so y'all can see and know. This is Lute Garza. He's from Laredo. He liked motorcycles, and he liked to watch scary movies with his mom. His parents actually owe a lot of apartments here in the South area. So like I tell the students, like, it doesn't matter if you have money, it doesn't matter if you don't have money, like drugs can still get to you. Andy De Leon, also from Laredo. He liked Taco Palenque, hot dog, and Century. Claudia Zuniga from Laredo. She died in 2015 also. She was 29. She's a mother of 4. She left 4 kids. She liked to eat candy and read books, and hers was a heroin overdose. Isaac Castillo. Isaac was from San Antonio. He died in 2018, and he died because he mixed monster drinks with drugs, like I guess Xanax or something. The grandma didn't tell me what exactly, but I know that it was energy drinks that killed him with the drugs. Enrique Cabrales, he was from Laredo. He died in 2016, and he liked to play basketball. Anthony Farias, he was from Laredo. He liked to play the piano. He took Xanax and went to sleep. He died in his mother's arms when we started doing the events. The second event that I did, his brothers actually came from Austin with a big poster with his picture that they wanted to share with everybody. It was like 5 days that he had passed. Like, it wasn't even long. And he took Xanax. He went to see his mom, and the mom said that he told her that he was sorry and that he was sleepy, and he fell asleep in his mom's arms, and he never woke up. He passed. Oscar Cantero, he's also from Laredo. He was 20. He liked flaming hot and sandwich bread with chorizo and egg tacos. This is Ashley Taylor. She's, I don't know exactly where she was from. I got her picture on a messenger. She liked art. They told me if I could show her. This is Tommy Hampton from Arkansas. He died at 15. He liked Lucero, Chicago Cubs. He died from a heroin overdose. And the friend that sent me this, she told me that Tommy didn't mind as long as he was high, he would take anything, but eventually he did die from heroin. Brian Taylor, he was from Virginia. His dad sent me that, and this is what he said. He said, please share his picture and info. Hopefully it can help others. Ryan was 21. He went to be with the Lord on January 20 and 2019. He used many different substances, but eventually got hooked on heroin. It was heroin mixed with fentanyl that killed him. This is my last one, Kaylin Harris. She's from Grant, Texas. She was 20 years old, and she died in 2018. Her aunt said this one time she took drugs and they took her life. So she only tried it one time and she passed. And I don't have, it doesn't all have to be sad. I do have a good story from from me doing all of this, I get calls from people that want help, and I try to refer them to the right person or the right organization. So I got this call from my mother, and she told me that her son was smoking weed and doing pills, and she asked me if I could talk to the son. So I did. I called the son, and I told him if he wanted to talk, and I asked him what was going on, and he told me that he was really embarrassed because he was 21 years old and he didn't know how to drive. So I guess he was being bullied and stuff. So I told them that I would make him a deal. I told them that, well, guess what? I'll make you a deal. And he was like, well, what's the deal? And he was like, and I told them, well, how about you stop doing drugs? And if you get, like, if your mom tells me that you're doing good after you get drug tested, I'll pay for your driver's ed. So guess what? He stopped. So he stopped doing drugs, and the mom called me. I did pay for his driver's ed. He now has a job. He has a car. He works in Sam's. And when I go to Sam's and I see him there, he's like, "Ma'am, can I give you a hug because you saved my life?" So, I mean, from something, like what I'm doing, if it helps somebody, which I already know it has, that just makes me feel good. I did get an award 3 weeks ago from the Webb County Coalition for doing this. I do proclaim the year every August 31st is International Overdose Awareness Day, and we were doing events, but because of the COVID, we stopped. But now I'm gonna do one next year. I still proclaim the year every day. I also got invited to Kendra Scott. Whatever they sold on that day for jewelry, they donated to my organization, and I want to eventually give out, what do you call it, to help you all with college? Scholarships. Yes, that's what I want to do. So I'm working on that. There's my social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, if you all want to look me up, and if you all have any questions. Yes, sir.
What's one of your favorite memories with your son?
With my son, I want to say when he was doing well in rehab and I got to see him, it was just me and him, like spending time, So that was really good. We got to talk about a lot of things.
Anyone have any other questions or anything?
I don't have any questions.
Was it like the same, like his first overdose was his first? I don't know if it's like a tough question. You have to ask me.
The second one.
Like, was the same symptoms the same as the second one?
Yeah, well, when he got his first, I don't think the first one was on heroin. The first one was just, I guess they told me that it was like the pills he took and the number of pills he took. But the second one and the third one he was already doing heroin. But what was weird to me was that his second overdose was on February 15 of 2015, and he passed like a year exactly after February 15 of 2016. But after he died, like I even got I got letters from those pawn shops where he would take stuff to pawn, and he took like 10 DVD movies once, and he got $5. So I was like, wow. Like he was really bad. Well, and again, I thank you for having me and for paying attention to my presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.